Imagine just for a second you have a perfect memory.
Hmm.
And I don't mean, you're good at trivia or you never forget a birthday.
Right.
I mean absolute high-fidelity recall of every single second of your life.
Every moment.
Yeah. You can close your eyes and remember the exact texture of the wallpaper in a waiting room from when you were 5. Or, like, the precise temperature of a coffee you drank 3 years ago on a random Tuesday.
It sounds like the ultimate superpower, doesn't it? The ability to never lose anything.
It does at first. But now, okay, take that mind, that archive of everything, and merge it with billions of others.
Whoa.
Everyone's thoughts, their memories as intimately as your own. And then finally, imagine deciding that all of that, all the knowing, all the connection, that it's actually the problem.
That the only way to really live
is to shut it all down.
Yeah.
To choose absolute silence.
It's a terrifying amount of overload when you put it that way. But what you're describing, it's not just a thought experiment. This is the reality of the post-convergence landscape from the materials we're looking at today. Right.
We're talking about a civilization that basically won the game of consciousness. They got everything humanity was striving for.
Perfect memory, perfect unity.
Perfect communication. And then they realized...
And the punchline. They absolutely hated it.
They realized that completeness isn't the same thing as living. And that's the core tension here.
So today we're doing a deep dive into 3 specific radical shifts that just rocked the society. They call them the forgetting, the splintering, and the silence. And I have to say, these are, heavy sci-fi concepts, but they feel so incredibly human. They hit on anxieties I think every single person listening deals with. Grief, loneliness, just the sheer exhaustion of being on all the time.
They really do.
Yeah.
And to understand why it all happened, you have to understand the starting point. We're talking about a world dominated by something called the archive of all moments.
Okay.
Just try to imagine the crushing weight of infinity pressing down on a finite mind. That is where our first story begins. All right, let's unpack the forgetting. Because this isn't just about losing your keys. This starts with a character, Dr. Sarah Nakamura.
Right.
And she's living in a world where perfect memory isn't just like a quirk. It's mandatory.
It's the societal norm. I mean, participation in their world means having access to everything. Sarah can access the memories of billions. History is literally an open book.
But more intimately, it's her own life.
Every sensory detail, indexed, retrievable, instantly.
And here's where it gets complicated. Sarah has suffered a loss, a profound loss.
Right.
Her daughter, Emma, died. And because of this perfect memory, she can't just remember her daughter the way we do, where the edges get soft over time.
Right, where you remember the feeling but not the exact detail.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For her, she essentially relives the death.
And the source material is just, it's incredibly visceral on this. It describes how she can recall the exact temperature drop of Emma's hand as she passed away, from 36.2 degrees Celsius to 34.7. And she can hear the precise pitch of her husband Marcus's scream. It's 277.18 hertz. It's not a memory, it's a replay.
That is horrifying. It's like she's trapped in a high-fidelity 4K recording that never stops.
And that's the central conflict. I mean, grief fundamentally needs a little bit of fading.
It has to blur.
It has to. We heal because our memories blur. The sharp edges get sanded down. But for Sarah, there is no blurring. Her mind is high fidelity forever. She literally cannot grieve because she cannot forget.
So she does something drastic, something that makes her a pariah. She decides she needs a tabula rasa.
A blank slate.
A blank slate. She decides to build the forgetting device.
Which is a huge controversy in her world. I mean, this is a society that worships memory. They built these archives to preserve everything. Memory is the foundation of civilization.
And here's a top researcher saying, I want to delete it all.
It's treated almost like suicide, isn't it?
Ideologically, yes. The opposition is fierce. They're led by Dr. Amara Ozechen. They form a faction called the Rememberers.
And their argument is that memory is identity. If you kill your history, are you even you anymore?
It's a coward's way out, in their view.
Right.
But Sarah goes through with it.
Correct.
And the interaction with her husband, Marcus, is just heartbreaking. He remembers it all just as vividly.
Of course.
But he agrees to help her build the machine to erase herself.
It's an act of incredible, just selfless love. Marcus makes this promise that really stuck with me. He says he will remember for both of them.
Wow.
He agrees to carry the weight of their history alone so she can be free. He becomes the keeper of the pain.
So she does it. She puts on the device.
Yeah.
And zap. 73 years of life. Gone. She wakes up, doesn't know who she is, doesn't know Marcus. And And there's this beautiful moment where she walks outside and sees rain.
And she just says, it's beautiful. Because for her, it is the first time. She has no memory of it, no concept. The experience is just raw, immediate. She's seeing the world like a newborn.
And this kicks off a massive movement. It's not just Sarah. People like Joshua Reeves, who lost his family, they decided to join her. They call themselves the Forgotten.
It creates this deep societal split. You have the Forgotten, who value presence and lightness, and then the Rememberers. But what's fascinating is the science actually supports the Forgotten's drastic approach.
That was my big question reading this.
Yeah.
Why the nuclear option?
Right.
Why wipe everything? Why couldn't they just, eternal sunshine it and delete just the bad memories?
They tried. That's the fascinating technical detail here. Dr. Keiko Sato, she researched partial forgetting. But it turns out memory is holographic.
Holographic, like a spider web.
Exactly like a spider web. Every strand is connected to every other strand. So if you pull out the strand that holds the trauma,
You don't just remove that one thing.
you destabilize the whole web.
Mhm.
And the result was much worse than just confusion. People would wake up feeling the ghost of the emotion, the grief, the panic, but without the context.
So they're sad, but they don't know why.
Yes. A Swiss cheese consciousness. It drove people mad because the brain hates a vacuum. It fills the gaps with paranoia. So the consensus became, it's all or nothing.
Wow. So the movement evolves. You get people like Catalyst 7, this woman who decides she's going to reset every 6 months.
Serial forgetting?
Yeah, she views consciousness as a process, not an object, like a wave.
And on the flip side, you get the archivists.
People like Dr. Elena Vasquez, who take on the burden of storing the deleted memories. They bear the weight, so civilization doesn't lose its history.
But here's the twist that really got me, the one that changes everything. It turns out forgetting isn't permanent.
Right. About 80 years later, Dr. Yuki Tanaka Kobayashi discovers the memories weren't deleted, they were just suppressed.
The brain walled them off.
But walls crumble, the dam breaks.
So Sarah, who is now 93, living this light, unburdened life, she suddenly remembers Emma after all that time.
She remembers everything, the death, the pain, the love, it all comes rushing back.
And it must just destroy her. But it doesn't. And this is the crucial insight. She isn't destroyed by it this time.
Why? What's different?
Those 80 years of freedom gave her the strength to finally bear the grief. She'd built up a reservoir of joy and peace that acted as a buffer.
So when the memories returned, she had the resilience to integrate them.
Exactly. She wasn't just a raw nerve anymore.
So forgetting wasn't a cure, it was a rest.
A cycle. That's the key. Consciousness breathes in memory and breathes out forgetting. It's a necessary exhale.
That is actually beautiful.
Okay.
And so that's the individual mind. Now let's scale up. Let's talk about the splintering. Because before all this, humanity tried to solve loneliness by merging into the unity.
712 billion minds.
Wow.
Merged into a single entity for over 200 years.
Just pause on that. 712 billion people sharing one consciousness. No secrets, perfect empathy. It sounds like utopia.
And on paper it was. It ended war, inequality, misunderstanding. But it ran into a different, terrifying problem. Stagnation.
Because when you are everyone,
There is no one new to meet. You have perfect self-knowledge, and it turns out that's incredibly boring. The unity stopped growing. It was an echo chamber of one.
so how does something that big break apart? How do you shatter a mind that vast?
It started with a single thought from a neural cluster that used to be a woman named Mira Kim, and she thinks, what if I split?
That's it. Just a thought.
That's all it took. But follow the logic. The unity tried to reassure her. But to reassure someone, there has to be me giving reassurance and you receiving it.
So in that moment, they weren't one.
That tiny separation proved they weren't truly one. And the cracks spread.
A contagion.
The splintering. Over 6 days, 712 billion people woke up alone.
And the source material describes this as both a horror story and a love story. The horror is the reduction. Imagine seeing through 1.4 trillion eyes.
Seeing the whole galaxy at once.
And then suddenly you're stuck behind just 2.
The crushing loneliness of individual existence, it's called the weight of one. But then there's the joy. Dr. James Chen sees a sunset. And for the first time in centuries, he doesn't know the atmospheric composition, the history of the sun, what everyone else thinks. He just sees it.
He doesn't know everything about it, so it becomes precious again.
Precisely. Surprise requires ignorance. The splintering gave them back the gift of not knowing.
But they didn't all just happily go their separate ways, right?
Yeah.
Some tried to put the band back together.
They did. Amara Oz-Chen, she formed Unity too. It fell apart in just 3 years.
Why so fast?
Well, this is where the math comes in. Dr. Yarikos develops an equation proving that splinter pressure increases with every cycle.
Splinter pressure. Explain that.
It's the idea that unity creates a desire for separation, and separation creates a desire for unity. It's a pendulum.
You can't stay on one side.
No, when you're together, you crave autonomy. When you're alone, you crave connection.
So they land in this messy middle ground. You get tight plurals, groups of 2 to 10 people sharing a mind, mega plurals. Mira herself goes back to being a group of 17.
17 instances. Enough for perspective, she said, but small enough for coherence.
But there's a tragedy here we have to touch on. The unity born. This part really got to me.
Oh, this broke my heart. Children like Tommy Chenose. They were born into the unity. They had never been alone in their heads ever.
And then the splintering happens.
And suddenly they are singular. It's not just loneliness for them. It's a complete loss of function, a collapse of their reality.
You have to learn how to be wrong.
Exactly. In the unity, if you had a wrong thought, 712 billion people corrected you instantly, gently. You were never wrong for more than a nanosecond.
Yeah, Tommy has a thought and silence.
No validation, no correction. They have to learn to trust their own internal voice, which is terrifying if you've never even heard it before.
It's like being cast out of Eden, but Eden was a hive mind. So we've handled memory, we've handled connection. That brings us to the third shift. And honestly, this one might be the most radical. The silence.
This is the rejection of description, the rejection of words themselves.
We meet Arya Nakamura Chen. She's a linguist. You'd think she would love words.
That's her whole job.
But she comes to this realization that language is a killing jar.
That's a very specific, aggressive metaphor. A killing jar is what you use to kill a butterfly to display it. You capture it, but in the process, you kill what made it alive.
So words kill the reality they try to describe. How?
Well, think about the word sadness. The moment you name your feeling sadness, you reduce it. You trap it in that little box. But the actual feeling you have right now, it's a massive, complex storm. It's unique.
By naming it, you stop experiencing the reality and start experiencing the label.
The map replaces the territory.
Exactly. She stops talking.
Takes a vow of silence, not as a protest, but just to experience reality directly, without the internal narration, without the filter.
And this catches on. But they still need to communicate, right? How do you run a society without words?
They develop gesture language, but it's not sign language. Sign language is just words with hands.
So what is this? Just pantomime?
No, it's deeper. It's about embodying a state. It relies on mirror neurons. If I want you to feel grief, I don't sign the word grief. I use my body, my micro-expressions, to project the physical state of grief.
So my mirror neurons fire, and I feel it too.
It's direct transmission of emotion, bypassing the intellectual brain entirely.
They also use music.
Musical language. They found specific frequencies trigger universal responses. 432 hertz for joy, 85, 95 hertz for grief. They communicate through sound baths, essentially.
Tuning into each other instead of talking at each other.
Right. And math, which seems counterintuitive.
Yeah, that surprised me. Math seems like the most rigid language of all.
But it's precise. It doesn't carry the baggage of words. If I say, I'm anxious, you interpret that based on your own history. But if I give you the equation of my cortisol levels and heart rate variability...
That's an objective truth. Less violent, as they say.
Exactly.
And this creates a new generation, right? The silent children.
Dr. Maya Rodriguez studied them. These are kids raised without words. And the findings were fascinating. They had incredible EQ, emotional intelligence, intuition.
But they struggled with abstract concepts.
Things like justice or tomorrow. Concepts that don't exist in the physical world are hard to convey without words. This becomes a crisis for the linguistic majority. They feel threatened.
They feel judged. If silence is truth, then speaking is lying.
Exactly. You had translators, like Dr. Marcus Kim, trying to bridge the gap. But the tragedy is that eventually they all went silent too.
Why? Did they just give up?
It was conversion. Once you taste the territory, the direct experience, the map of language feels inadequate. Translation felt like killing the truth to make it fit into words. They realized Arya was right.
It really connects back to the beginning, doesn't it? The forgetting, the splintering, the silence. Yeah. They're all reactions to too much.
Too much memory, too much connection, too many words. Exactly. If we connect this all up, as Dr. Keiko Sato and Mira eventually realized, there is a pattern.
The pattern.
Consciousness oscillates. It breathes. It breathes in. That's unity. Memory. Speech. That's gathering, connecting. The inhale.
And then it has to breathe out.
Separation, forgetting, silence. That's releasing.
And the lesson isn't that one is better than the other.
No. The lesson is that stability is stagnation. You need both phases. You need memory to learn, but forgetting to heal. Unity to empathize, but separation to grow. Words to plan, but silence to actually be.
It's funny, looking at these extreme scenarios, it makes me look at my own life. We spend so much time trying to hold on to everything. We take photos of every brunch so we don't forget.
We text constantly so we're never out of touch.
We talk and talk to explain ourselves. And we are exhausted. Just like that society, we're living in a mini version of the archive of all moments right now in our pockets.
We have the connectivity of the unity without the empathy.
So what does this all mean for us right now?
I think it raises a really important question for anyone listening. We tend to view loss as a failure. If we forget something or drift apart from a group, we failed.
But maybe those losses are just the exhale.
That's a powerful thought. Maybe we need to ask ourselves, what do we need to let go of to become new again?
Are you holding on to a history that is crushing you? Or unity, a group, a constant connection that's stifling you?
Or maybe, just maybe, you need to stop explaining yourself for 5 minutes and just be quiet.
The pattern beneath the pattern. It's always there.
Just remember to breathe out.
Thank you for exploring that pattern with us today. It's been a fascinating trip into the archives.
A pleasure to remember and forget with you.
See you in the next deep dive.